Hey guys, how's it going? This is day 3. We're doing a mobility session today. Before we get started, just make sure you hit the warm-up video and then we'll get right into it. Let's get after it. Alright, so I'm just going to get started on the first portion of our training session here. This is going to be called the mobility one, but it's really working on opening up those hips and shoulders and increasing your range of motion in those movements. So the first one we're going to do is called a hip cars. So you can do this against a wall, against a solid object, keeping your legs straight, but I prefer to do it in open, but you want to make sure that your leg's staying straight. You're going to lift your leg up, around, over, back, and down. So you're kind of doing a circle. You can go around a couple ways like that, and then you can go back and do it reversed way. So do that both sides. You want to make sure that your knees aren't coming in, you're not trying to cheat as much, you're just working on the socket, moving around, and this will help the mobility. So you do that one for the other side as well. The next one's actually going to be hip swivels. So you're going to be going down here, you're going to have your knees out. So start like this, and you're going to open this knee up, try and keep this one back, and go over. Same, going over. And you want to try and keep them as far apart as possible. You can even add in another movement here, where you go around, and you thrust the hips up, back down, around, thrusting them up. This is a really good one to open up the hips, and it'll increase your range of motion. Last one in this section, it's called the swimmer. So you're going to be lying on your chest here, arms are forward, trying to keep them as high off the ground as possible. You go around, twist them in, back, cross those arms there, around, up, and cross them here too. So you're going to do that 8 times. Your shoulders are going to be burning by the end of it. Try and keep them as far away from the ground as possible, and do clean movements. So do that 3 times through and do it as much as you want as possible. You're going to get even more results the more you do it. So keep practicing with that one. Obviously it's a little tough at the start, but your joints are going to feel really good after, so get after it. Okay, so the next portion we're doing here is going to be glute activation. This is really important for your hips. You need really strong glutes. This really boosts everything. So personally, I've had issues with my glutes that they were weaker and it caused a whole bunch of problems in my hips. This is something I would have to work on personally, and it's pretty important for a lot of athletes. So this one's going to boost the glute performance here. First one we're going to do just straight up glute bridges. You can do them elevated if you want. You can also do one-legged ones, but we're just going to do these pretty simple, and you're just going to want to lift and stay on the heels of your feet. Just go up, hold it at the top for 3 seconds, and go down. Up, hold at the top, and back down. Try and do at least 20 of these, and you're doing that for 3 sets, and you're going to feel a burn in your glutes. The next one we're actually going to go into is an RDL. So you're going to just be down here, reach opposite leg, and quick up. Down slowly, quick up. You should also feel a nice stretch there in your posterior chain. And it's going to help boost your glutes, hamstrings, pretty much everything there. Alright, so for the last one, you're going to be doing some banded walks here. I'm going to be using 2 bands, one around my knees, one around my ankles. I typically put the stronger one around my knees and then one that's a tiny bit lighter around my ankles. So yeah, you throw that one on here, just above your knees. The last one just above your ankles. So I only have this limited space, but you typically be doing it for about 10 meters. So you'd be going, get low, legs about shoulder width apart, and you're just moving forward slowly, trying to keep them out. You're not compromising your distance. I'm going to do that one forward, backward, 10 meters each. You're really going to feel that in IT band, your glutes especially. So that's the first variation of it. The next one we're going to be doing your sideways, going over and halfway in. You're never bringing them fully together. You're always keeping them at least this far apart. You're opening up, bring it back in. Again, this is really burning your IT bands, your glutes, even a tiny bit of quads. So that's the second variation we got. Last one's going to be more of a skater stride. So you're opening up, coming in. Opening up, coming in. Same thing backwards. Your glutes are really going to be firing after this. Going to be pretty sore, but it'll help strengthen them. So those are the 3 different walks we got, and that's it for glute activation portion. Alright, so for the second last portion of this, we're going to be doing a couple movement exercises here. The first one we're actually going to do is a Cossack squat. So just keep your feet decently wide apart, and you're just going to either side and getting into a little squat there. So you can go down, open up that foot, other side, try and get as low as possible. Really open up your hips there. You can lift that back foot up if you like, or keep it down. That's really going to stretch and open out your hips. So do that one at least 10 aside. Next one we're moving into is also a squat. It's called a curtsy squat. So you're actually going to bring your left foot back about 45 degrees diagonally and get into a squat. You're going to feel that one in the IT band, the glutes, so get a little bit of a stretch there. So do that both sides. Again, at least 10 aside here. You get a nice little stretch. Next ones we're doing are actually some walks and crawls here. So the first one's going to be the bear crawl, except you're doing it with a straight leg. Get a little more of a stretch. Okay, so opposite leg, opposite arm. You're going to go. Same thing back. Next one we're going to get into is called the lizard. So this one's a bit tougher to explain over camera. So you might just have to watch this a couple times and see what I'm doing. But you're basically going to bring your arm over and bring your leg up to it. It's like a really extended lunge, and you're going to walk through it. So first one like this, and you bring your leg up. Same for the other side. And try and stay as low as possible. Okay, to finish off here, we're just going to be doing a little bit of stretching to loosen up the muscles that we're working on. The first one's actually going to be rock backs, pretty similar to a child's pose if you do yoga. So I'll show you sideways here. You're going to be on your knees, hands and knees here. You can have your feet outwards, or you can bring them in. You'll notice it a little more. If you have tight hip flexors, you might feel a bit pinching here, where you're basically going to go and try and lean back into it and stretch your arms out. You should feel that one in the lower back and the hips, obviously. It's pinching. You bring your feet in, and you'll feel it a little bit differently there. And just try and sit in that one. Try and relax for about a minute or 2. So the next one we're going to be doing is called dynamic frog. So you have your knees apart, your feet outwards, facing flat. And you're just going to be going back and forth into that. You're going to really feel that one in the adductors. And then just bounce back and forth, rocking. So again, do that one for about a minute or so. Then you're going to go into a hip flexor stretch. Do this one from the side. So we've done this in the cool down. You want to turn your hips in, you'll feel that right along this side. Then you can stretch up here, get a little bit more. Get 30 seconds to a minute on each side. So same thing other side. Do that one. going to get into something called 90-90s here. On this first phase, we're actually just touching in on it, but in the next phase, we're going to do more with functional range conditioning, but this one we're just going to use as a stretch. So they call it 90-90s because that's what your feet make, your legs make that. So you want to sit like this, and then you're just going to go and stretch down into that. You'll feel a bit of a stretch there. It's also going to help with rotation in your hips. You can stretch back here as well. Pull yourself backwards. So do that one about a minute, and then you can switch sides. You got the front one, and you also got the side here. Last one, we're actually going to be doing the cross-legged sitting. You'll feel that one in the back pocket, and you're just going to lean to either side. Working on relaxing. You go a bit in the middle, a bit to the left side as well. You might feel that in the back, and definitely in the glutes. So do that about a minute or so. That's it for today. If you want, you can actually get into the cool down a little bit if you want to work on a bit more stretching, but you should be good for now. And we'll see you tomorrow for day 4. You got circuit training. Get hard.